Share a duck, huh? Got it.
Good morning, everyone. I am Donna Reed. I am in, I can't even speak this morning because I'm already laughing. I traveled in Up With People 1976A, and because Paul Caldwell told me I needed to have a cactus, I now have my Christmas cactus here in the Cactus Lounge. This morning, I am interviewing, tell us your name there.
Mia Moravis.
Mia Moravis. And Mia, when did you travel in Up With People?
1978, Cast E.
Cast E. And my questions always say, were you in Tucson or Denver? But tell us where you were.
Well, in January of 78, we staged at North Florida Community College in Madison, Florida. And then when we took our break in the middle of the year, we came back in July and staged in Tucson.
In Tucson. That's right. That's right. And I was doing costumes that year, so I got to see you guys again.
Yes, yeah, that's how we met.
Yes. Did you help with costumes that summer? Is that when?
No, I was supposed to help you the subsequent summer, and then I had a family illness emergency and couldn't go at the last minute, which to this day horrifies me. But here we are, and you're smiling, and you'll talk to me. So.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. So
we got to make that happen, though.
yes, in person one of these days. So tell everybody kind of where you came from when you joined Up With People. Did you see a show? Did you interview at the show? How did you get in? How did you get?
How did I get there? I was in New England. I saw a show in New England in 1976, and that was the bicentennial year. And Pocket Full of Dimes and all that, and I just fell in love with it. And then the following year, you came back. Up With People came back, and our gal in 1976, Peggy Keegan from our town, had auditioned and interviewed and got into Up With People. So she came back in 77, which was my graduation year, and was in the show. And so we were like, oh gosh, there's Peggy, we know her. And then I auditioned and interviewed that night, and then found out a few months later that I was accepted into Up With People. And so I didn't go off to college. I worked 3 jobs to save up money.
Yes, I remember that I was like a finalist for a Navy ROTC scholarship. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do Up With People instead. Like,
I know, right? I'll get to college someday.
Yeah, exactly. So, so you and I chatted a little bit. You just have to share a little bit with the world about your arriving in Madison, your flight, your schedule, and all of that shenanigans that happened. So.
I won't say picture this, Sicily, 1921, but it was the big blizzard of January 1978.
Yep.
And so I got piled into the car fast. Actually, I was piled onto a bus to get to Concord, to where my conduit, if you will, would bring me to Manchester, to the airport there. It's changed a lot. It's huge now, but it was a little putt-putt airport at the time. And so it was just snowing and snowing and snowing. So I fell asleep in the airport. I had to sleep in the airport, and all the staff at the airport were so sweet. They gave me blankets and pillows and food, and I washed my hair in the sink. And then finally, they were just really working hard at getting people to where they had to go. So they put us in taxis, and they got us down to Boston. And then in Boston, by that time I was seasoned. I had slept in an airport overnight. I was no longer cryy about it, And by that time in Boston, they were de-icing the planes. And then I was sitting on the floor, I was like, cool now. And then, we got on the flight, and I eventually made it. I think I was supposed to arrive like the day before. And I think I arrived the next day at around 11 at night, 10 or 11 at night,
right. Yeah.
And met Tony Zanilotti. And he came up and said, are you? And I said, yes. And he said, come this way. And so he put me with Nancy David, and she brought me to my host family. And then on the way, because the Carrie and Patsy,
Carrie and Patsy,
they lived in like a little enclave that was amidst pines and in the woods. And what had happened was that late at night, and it was really dark. It was really, really dark. Nancy just, she had some type of walkie-talkie or phone where she could communicate with them from the car, which was fascinating. Nowadays, we wouldn't think twice about
Right,
it.
but in the
But
70s.
in the 1978. And so she managed to get in touch with them and said, I'm a little lost. Just need to know where to turn. And so she was fine. But then at that point, I was so exhausted. I just kind of started boo-hooing a little bit in the back seat, and I made her cry. And I said, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to meet me this way the very first time we meet. And she said, it's okay. We're all tired, and we had a great chuckle over it later. And I was so relieved. And Carrie and Patsy were just so dear and divine and so sweet.
And they are host families in Madison that have
At
stayed
Madison,
in touch with
Florida.
a lot
And
of people.
we are in touch still to this day. And then still to this day. And then when I went off to college, I finally went off to college. We had a little Up With People reunion, and we flew down to Florida on one of those, February breaks you get in college.
That's awesome. Well, I remember you had told me that whole story, and we're going to have to ask Nancy what she was using. Like, did she just have a walkie-talkie, or like, what was she communicating with? Yeah.
I mean, I just remember that she was able to communicate with them. I don't know if there was some newfangled technology that
it wasn't a megaphone out the window or anything.
No. I remember, and we'll have to ask her.
Yeah.
She may say, Mia, I don't think your memory is so good, but I specifically remember her being able to communicate. And then driving to the Carrie's house, to Carrie, the Hardy's house.
So,
isn't that amazing?
So we are, so now it's 2022, and tell everyone where
44 years later.
I know, right? Where you live now and what you're doing for a living.
Well, I live in New York City now, and I'm back to New York City. It took 40 years to get back the way I wanted. And because I spent a couple of early 20s years here. And, when you're that young and you're just like, woo, you don't realize, 5 roommates and eating sardines is perfect, And so I vowed, though, when I got a little older, that I would, come back to New York when I only needed 1 roommate and would eat sardines as I pleased. So, but I did spend about 23 years in DC first, and I worked at a PBS station, which was really great because that got me kind of anchored back in the entertainment world the way I really wanted to be. And then I came to New England and New York, and we got here right when New York was the hot spot of the pandemic. March 31st, 2020. We were moving a van load here on March 12th when Mayor de Blasio shut Broadway down. And we just said, we're not going to turn back. It'll be okay. We'll just be really careful. And before that, starting in probably 2014, 15, right in there, I became a Broadway producer. And my first Broadway show was Anastasia. My Broadway partner is Van Deen, the president of Broadway Records. We met through the Grammys, and everything has just gone from there. We always say Dean. What I say? Dean, Van Deen, the Dean of Broadway. And Jose Perez says, school is in session.
That's awesome.
He's a real dear man, and really patient with me, and really taught me the ropes.
That's so cool. So one of the things that I think about when I follow you and how we've talked more in the last couple of years, because, I have musician and actor sons and all of that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And I've heard their music.
You have. But for me, I heard recently about women kind of coming into themselves and coming into their power in the 50s and their 60s. And I feel that way a little about your life. Like, often people think, somebody got lucky. Well, lucky 30 years of work, right? Or 40 years of work to get to where now you're like, yes, a Grammy Award. Yes, we're nominated for Tonys. Yes, these things are happening. It didn't happen like that, right?
No. And the wonderful thing is, and I'll make this very fast. The wonderful thing is the way that I met Van was the Grammys used to have kind of their own version of Facebook. And we met during the season when Matilda, the cast recording was, I think that was 2014, via that portal. And so, and I'm in my 30th year of being a voting member of the Grammys, and that happened while I was at PBS. I would, at the PBS station, I would supply theme music for their shows, and it would go up on the satellite and all over the place. And so that's how I was able to join ASCAP and become a voting member of the Grammys, once I gathered up enough credentials. And so that's how I met Van. And, we didn't have, 30 years ago, maybe we could say 25 years ago, we didn't have social media that could allow us to meet each other. I mean, I have to praise social media's wonderful positivity virtues, because we're talking right now, because that's how I met all our Up With People friends again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And my running joke is when I point to my Tony nomination certificate from the American Theater Wing, I just kind of pointed it and say, that took 40 years.
That's yeah. So did you ever meet David Grossman, who I think was the head of the Grammys for a while? I'm gonna have to confirm.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you know David? And do you know he's an Up With People alumni?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wondered if you knew that piece of it. I was thinking I could interview David if I could.
I remember him from Up With People, and then realizing, oh my gosh, there he is. Yeah. And I did want to say one thing that I forgot to say, and I don't want to say because it would not be right to leave it out. In 1996, I came back to Up With People to write the festival show about 3 songs in the show, the festival, which was on the road for 3 years instead of 2. And I think that was 96 with Herb and the Caldwell brothers, Ralph and Paul, and with Pat Murphy.
Okay. Do you remember the songs from festival that you did? Like, what did you work on?
Yes. We're Not Buying It. Within Our Reach. And oh golly, I do this every time. We'll have to put a little font at the end.
Yes. I told Paul that when it's all done and it's uploaded, you'll think of it.
We're not buying it. And yeah, I do this every time. Please forgive. It was an extraordinary experience though. And I was out in Denver, and I felt so lucky to be there.
That's awesome. Gosh, that's so cool, Mia. I didn't know that. So that's very nice. All right. So I already know the answer to this, but we have to tell everybody else. What were the costumes like when you first traveled?
Well, I know the answer.
Yeah, I know. You know.
You put them together. Oh, they were wonderful. We had these beautiful, our show costumes, the start, were the beautiful Kiana dresses with the cobalt blue highlights on them. And they were kind of like, I would say they weren't cream, they were definitely white, and they were they had a beautiful sheen to them. And they were orange. And the men were in cobalt blue jumpsuits with the white Kiana sleeves. And I call them the Captain. I was in orange. Yeah, you put me in orange, I think, because of my hair color.
Yeah.
This is still natural, I promise.
Oh, go you. Go. Yeah, mine too.
But it's starting right there.
Yeah, your costumes, the girls, I thought were lovely. I remember the boys, and it's funny when I talk about back then, I always say girls and boys. I don't say men and women because I know. We just all do that. The boys putting on those bodysuits were like, this is a thing, a little bit different. So, how do you think that Up With People maybe helped prepare you for your future life? Do you feel like your travels did something to allow you to move into this place where you are now?
I think the way I'd like to say it is, it made me realize that despite what we're going through ourselves, that the ability to, even from just a few moments, especially if things are really bad, to look up and out and around will help not only yourself, but it'll help everyone around you. I think that was the thing. I was one of the youngest. I think I was the youngest person in the cast. I had just turned 18 on Christmas Day of 77.
And then left in January. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then, I'm pretty darn sure I was the youngest in the cast. And I when you're that age, you are still trying to cycle how you feel about things, how you process what you've been through, how you process loss, and how you process any traumas. And being in an arena where, when I could tell when I saw the show, that the care that everybody had for members of the community, whether they were on stage or off, and in particularly off, made me realize that there were ways to feel better, heal better, get better, and give more. And that we are capable, even with our own salt screen. Sometimes all we can muster is a salt screen of giving in any capacity where our talents lie or our feelings lie in that moment. And it made me realize, just being with people, which literally saved my life.
I remember you said that.
Yeah. Oh, don't, there's no crying in baseball. How much we are together. We're so much more great together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Up With People is filled with learning experiences, and
Yes.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, the ones we want, the ones we don't want. Is there anything specific that happened on the road, maybe alluding to what you just said? So we just come from where we come from, and that's all
Right.
we know. And oh, by the way, we're 18, because I was 18. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I turned 18 June 28th, and I started in July. So just a year or two before you. So
Similar.
what do you think, is there one thing that maybe you learned or experienced on the road that that you think that's neat to share with this group of people?
Yes. I have a specific situation. We were en route to Louisiana. I can't remember exactly what town we were in, but I know that we were en route to Louisiana. And we stopped to do an assembly style performance at a school. I think it was like a middle grade school, junior high, I would say. And we were performing, and there was, and again, I don't want to get emotional.
Yeah.
I might, but thank you for allowing it. There was a girl sitting all by herself, and it just hit something in me, and I started sobbing and had to run off stage.
Wow.
And Eileen Senna ran up to me and said, "Are you okay?" And I was blubbering like a was like, "There's a girl, she's all by herself, and no one's talking to her. She's sitting all alone," and then Eileen gave me a hug. She gave me a tissue. She comforted me and she calmed me down. She had me go back on stage in the next song, in a rear mic group, so I wouldn't cause a ruckus. And then what I did, because we would get to talk to the students after and go into the community a bit. And what I did is I made a beeline for that girl, and we talked, and she wanted to be a teacher, and we became pen pals for a spell. And I do happen to know that she did become a teacher. And so all that goodness and kindness and smarts that she's putting out in the world for students, we never know. The thing that it taught me was we never know when, and we never know if. So I'm not being grand here, we never know if, but we also never know when what we deem, as I say, a salt screen of what we muster to be giving in a particular moment can be of service to somebody else. And that really keeps someone, oneself, shall I say, from constantly being absorbed. It's natural to be self-absorbed. We are our own living beings, and we must make our way, and and have our goals and all of this. But it's one of those things where it's really good to be able to know when we can come back to ourselves, and that we can come back to ourselves, and when we can also make it better for somebody else in the process. I never claimed by any means that my taking the time to talk to this girl, I don't mean it like that.
Right. You weren't looking at it like that. Right.
No, not, and never. I was speaking with her sincerely, and I didn't want her to know that I was crying. I wanted to be friendly and affable. She wrote to me and said that when I complimented her fingernails, because she had painted fingernails, it made her feel really cool and it made her feel confident.
Oh,
And I know that, you know, sometimes she's really smart gal. And I know that sometimes you just never know what happened in the immediate moments before that assembly started. You know, you can have a situation, especially at that age, you know, when those are really impressionable years, and you can have a situation where one person can just really not be nice to you, and it can just
Yeah.
set your tone for a week at that age, you know.
yeah.
And God knows it happened to me when I was in school. So,
Yeah.
but I'm so happy for her.
You know, you telling that story reminds me, doing these interviews makes me flash back, you know, to things that happened.
Yeah,
And we were
I'm
in
sure.
Colorado and we had performed. I can't remember whether the jail was first or the high school was first, but they were in the same day. And I found out by talking to a young lady at the assembly that it was her brother, Tom, that I had met in prison the same day.
Oh,
And I was
right.
telling her about being at a minimum security prison, and you talk about emotional. I'm the same way, just revisiting that, thinking, here's this high school kid seeing this assembly, and we've just been out at the prison and we've performed in the minimum security prison, and I chatted with this guy, and then I find out, yeah, they're siblings. Like, you just, the experiences that come back are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
well, I know my little timer is going to pop up pretty soon, Mia.
Oh.
So, a couple of things. One is,
Yes.
do you have a favorite food that you had while you were on the road, or at least favorite food?
Kimchi. Kimchi.
Really?
Yes.
That's
When we were
awesome.
in Chicago, our host family was an American man and a Korean woman. And she made, I don't know if she made it, I don't know if she got it, but we were offered kimchi, and I'm an addict ever since. I even make my own.
That's awesome. More people have remembered what they didn't like on the road than what they did like. All right. And favorite city? Did you have a favorite city that you went to?
Oh gosh, it's so amazing. It's hard to choose. I will say that I really loved when we were in New Orleans, and I loved when we were in Tucson. Marietta, Georgia was really special.
Yeah.
Believe
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Excuse me, my host mom was just so cool.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun.
Please forgive. Oops.
No, that's okay.
And,
it's okay. I
don't know
have
if you
water
can
here.
fit
I don't
that
know if you have
coffee.
water. I keep
do.
water.
I'm going to reach for it real quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, hello,
All right.
water.
So before we head out, I'm going to
Yes.
ask you to do something for me that I don't ask of other people.
Oh no.
Yeah. No, I know that you have an affinity for Scotland, and I am headed to Scotland, you know, in a month or so for my first visit. Super excited about that. So, is there any, this is going to sound weird. Do you have any Scottish, you know, we have all these Irish quotes and proverbs. Is there anything you can say to us with a Scottish accent that would kind of be wisdom for the ages? How's that? This was not
yes,
on your list.
there's always lots of Irish, but well, the Scottish always say, haste ye back. Haste ye back.
So come back
And
again.
what I would say too is, please go to Dunoon, Argyll and Bute, where I was raised as a bairn. It's across the Firth of Clyde from Glasgow.
And you know, I'm going to Glasgow. Oh,
Yeah. All you have to do is take the ferry.
really? Oh, Mia, I'll have to get the deets on this. Yes, I'm flying.
Dunoon, Dunoon.
Dunoon, Dunoon. I'm so bad at accents. My kids say that every accent I do is the same, no matter what country I'm in.
That's because you're worldwide, baby.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
The woman of the world.
The woman of the world. Yeah. All right. So one last thing.
Yes.
Any thoughts for young kids? I say young now, you know, considering gap years, they have so many choices, you know, Up With People used to be one of a few, and now there's all these things. And we hope that Up With People will be back. We don't know the manner that it will be back in, But what would you say to a young person? If there's a parent or grandparent out there encouraging their child who's a senior in high school to travel, what might you say to them?
I would say any chance you can get safely, because we are still dealing with what we're dealing with in the world, any chance that you can get to go to another country and even for a week, do it. The more you can increase your world vision and experiences, the more understanding you'll have of how we all interact as humans.
Yeah, I agree. Boy, you can read all about it, but if you're not there and you don't experience it, it's different. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording here in a second. We'll have a couple more minutes.
Thank you.
I have got to get to New York to see you, because I told you I now know another Broadway producer there, and you guys are always at shows and things, and I'm so jealous.
Get here. Get here.
I know. I so want to. So I appreciate your time. I'm glad we got it together. And I love you. And
I love you too.
I'll see you soon. All right. Bye.